Breaking news just moments ago, a source confirming to Fox News that President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance will be sworn in indoors at Monday's inauguration. I believe this is only the second time this has happened. The last time it happened was 1985 with none other than Ronald Reagan. There are dangerously cold temperatures that are moving into the region, and it will be the coldest inauguration in 40 years. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany here with my co-host, Emily Campagno. Also joining us, Lisa Booth, Fox News contributor, Kayleigh McGee-White, editor-in-chief of Independent Women's Forum, and Todd Pyro, Fox and Friends First co-host. Well, senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy is live from the South Lawn with this pretty big news this hour. It's cold there. I see you in a jacket, about to get colder, and inauguration indoors, Peter.
Yes, it is cold here, but just know that when you see the White House position, we do have a space heater right here. So it's never too cold here. However, way too cold for everybody that is going to be attending the inauguration on Monday. I'm just off the phone with somebody who works for the president-elect, a source familiar, who confirms that the swearing in and the inaugural address will happen inside the U.S. Capitol Dome. And then President-elect Trump is confirming on Truth Social that everything else is going to move into Capital One Arena. We knew that on Sunday there was going to be a Capital One Arena rally with J.D. Vance speaking, Donald Trump speaking, the Village People and Kid Rock were going to perform. Now that is going to be a viewing party for a lot of the folks that are in town, but that seats about 20,000 or fewer of the attendees. That is a much smaller crowd than they would be expecting on the entire National Mall. And so we're not sure what exactly the plan is for overflow in this dangerous cold. President Trump is saying on Truth Social, though, that it is important that everyone will be safe, everyone will be happy, and we will together make America great again. That happens as the current president, Joe Biden, is giving us some good breadcrumbs about what exactly it is he plans to write on his farewell note to Donald Trump, the one that he will leave in the Resolute desk drawer.
I really am concerned about how fragile democracy is. That sounds corny, but I mean, I really am concerned because you've heard me say it 100 times. I really think we're at an inflection point in history here.
President Biden revealed last night he and Trump have not been speaking about the hostage deal, even though their teams have been projecting a united front in negotiations publicly. And just because the Biden legacy may wind up being that he was the guy sandwiched between Trump terms, he is insisting he does not have any ill will.
I'm so proud of how much we've accomplished together for the American people. And I wish the incoming administration success because I want America to succeed. That's why I've held my duty to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition of power, to ensure we lead by the power of our example.
NBC has a widely circulated item this afternoon that says the West Wing feels like a morgue right now. I've spent some time in the West Wing today. I would say it's less like a morgue and more like the last day of school. There are a lot of people standing around, turning off their phones, unplugging their computers, and heading out at the end of the term. Kayleigh?
Yeah, it's a tough time. That space heater, I remember it, Peter. It is very warm. So stay warm there by the space heater.
Yeah.
And thanks for those
We'll be
details.
okay. Yeah.
You'll be okay. All right, well, this just in. On Truth Social, President Trump has confirmed some new details. So listen to this. January 20th cannot come fast enough. Everybody, even those that have initially, one moment, it just dropped from our prompter here. Donald J. Trump and the administration just want it to happen. It is my obligation to protect the people of our country. But before we even begin, we have to think of the inauguration itself, the weather forecast for D.C., the wind chill factor could take temperatures into record lows. There's an Arctic blast sweeping the country. He goes on to say, I have ordered the inaugural address, in addition to prayers and other speeches, to be delivered in the United States Capitol Rotunda, as was used by Ronald Reagan in 1985. Also because of very cold weather. And he goes on to confirm what Peter Doocy just reported, that we will open Capital One Arena on Monday for live viewing of this historic event and to host the presidential parade. I will join the crowd at Capital One after my swearing in. It's a long Truth Social. Those are some of the details, Emily. And as we look at this, this has happened twice from what I've researched, 1909 with Howard Taft and then 1985 with Ronald Reagan. And what's interesting to me is the Ronald Reagan comparison, because not only is the inauguration indoors, you have the hostage release, really right before Trump comes in. You had the assassination attempt, Ronald Reagan as well. Trump is kind of a Reagan-esque president in more ways than one.
And I think that what this represents, too, is that you don't have to do something just because that's how it was always done. Here's a president that, to me, hallmarks his decision-making in the same way, which is, let me assess the current situation. Here are the factors. It's not tenable to be outside, so we're going to move it inside. I mean, we see this stuff often with other large events, and I think the reality is that the storied history of this and the solemnity and the iconography that we're all going to be watching and how important and crucial this event is, all of that remains the same. And now everyone's going to be a lot more comfortable. And we don't have to look at Bernie Sanders memes and mittens on, right? The reality is we have here in New York, we're expecting temperatures colder than 2 years past, I believe, historically. So he's absolutely right to protect those Americans that are going to see this historic and wonderful event. So bravo for making a common sense decision that will, in the long run, protect a lot of Americans.
And that Reagan inauguration, Todd, it was 7 degrees. The wind chill was in the negative 20s. This temperature, they say, will be in the 20s. I'm sure colder if you consider wind. But, you know, I bring this up because I've been to many Trump rallies. I remember being in Battle Creek, Michigan, where there were just snow everywhere. It did not deter the Trump crowd from waiting outside. This is an energized group. I think they're going to come and enjoy the moment regardless.
Oh, without a doubt. They've been waiting for this moment for 4 years. Every single day they've been pining for the return of Donald J. Trump, and now they have it. But I agree with Emily so much because it's such a metaphor for what we expect the next 4 years to be. And we got a preview of it when you were in the administration during Trump 1, is that just because D.C. has a tradition and just because the ruling elite class says this is the way it's done, doesn't mean it necessarily has to be that way. Common sense should always rule the day, not hey, this is the way we've always done it in D.C. That's what Donald Trump's going to bring to the table in this 4 years, much like he did the previous 4. I want to add one more thing that I thought was important in this Truth Social post. He makes a clear point to say this is also about the safety of those first responders that need to be out there for the entire day. There's going to be a lot of attention following the events of New Orleans and the fact that this is such a major event. We need to make sure that those first responders are protected, and this is one way of doing that.
Excellent point. And to talk about, you know, aberrational, doing things differently, you know, Lisa, the rally the day before is interesting. You don't have most presidents who do that. He confirms in this Truth Social. That's happening 3 p.m. Sunday. Doors open at 1 p.m. That's never deterred the camp out crowd from camping out the night before.
Well, we know Trump, he likes to go his own way, but it's not just about the safety of the first responders, it's also about his safety.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who has faced 2 attempted assassinations, one that went through his ear. He could have died if just for a slight turn of the head. So this is also safer for him. Also, as someone who is planning on going, I do have a little bit of a sigh of relief. I live in Florida now. I've gotten really soft on the weather, and I was worried about, you know, freezing to go watch history be made. So at least I don't have to worry about that. But to your point, you know, add this to the long list of parallels between Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. You know, one with Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden both being failed presidents, one-term presidents failing on the economy, also on foreign relations. You look at the Iran hostage crisis that you had talked about, 444 days, 52 Americans held at the embassy in Iran. And they were released on the day that Ronald Reagan was inaugurated. Now we're seeing success with Donald Trump and the release of hostages that Hamas has held, and just this new era that will be ushered in for America, which we're all very excited about. So
Yeah, and
thank God for that.
to the point of security, this does make it, you know, a little safer. We knew there were security concerns, as there are at every inauguration. The Secret Service said we have a no-fail mission. I'm sure they're taking that very seriously in the wake of 2 assassination attempts. When you look at the list of those not going, Kaylee, we know Nancy Pelosi's not going. We don't know why. She did just have a hip replacement. Michelle Obama not attending again. Don't know the exact rationale. But, you know, when you look at this and you think about it, their decision not to go. However, is it a tone-deaf decision? Is it one in which you missed the 77 million Americans that showed up and said, this is our guy?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that Trump and Melania didn't go to Biden's inauguration. So I don't think it's necessary for political leaders to necessarily go to their rival's inauguration. However, they can't use the weather as an excuse this time around. I'm also planning on being there, and I get to now cancel my order for an electric heated vest. So I'm kind of excited
That's a
about
great
that.
idea.
Yeah, I was
didn't even-
prepared. I was ready.
That's
I will
smart.
say, I do hope that the Trump transition team makes an effort to have as many people inside the rotunda for the swearing in as possible. I know a lot of people were looking forward to going to that. I'm planning on bringing my dad. He was the first guy ever that I heard of in 2016 who told me as soon as Trump went down that escalator, Donald Trump is going to win the White House. So I know he's really looking forward to that moment as well. And, you know, it's not just Donald Trump's moment. It's the Trump voters' moment as well, that they get to see this return to the White House and they get to see this agenda implemented finally. And so I think it's a really hopeful day and one everyone's looking forward to.
Yeah, without question. You know, Todd, and when I think about it, you know, the supporters, they are a robust group. They're an excited group. I think they understand and they're going to show up regardless. It's a huge event. And a lot of them, I mean, I've been looking on Twitter. It's like there are hourly, minute countdowns among supporters saying we are ready for this, rain, shine, wind, whatever it may be.
Well, that's why I think it's important that Donald Trump issued this Truth Social post so soon after the news came out on our air and other networks, because you want to control the narrative on this. You want Donald Trump to be out there saying, hey, I'm doing this for you. I know it's not traditional. I know it's not what we expected. But trust me, this is the best course of action, because those people who've pined for this for so long are going to say, OK, at the end of the day, we may not get to watch this the way we originally thought. But the moment he puts his hand on that Bible, whether it's inside, outside, on the moon or somewhere else, he's going to be the president. And that's what's important for us.
Yes.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Thank you.
And he will be making that appearance at Capital One Arena, so he will not fail to see his supporters.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.